Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to listen to me for a bit, but most of all, thank you for being here. There's a sign out there that says, Earth to Paris. We are all part of the Earth, and we should all shout out to Paris to say, let's do something about the changing climate. We the people cherish the Earth. We the people cherish the Earth. We the people cherish the Earth. That's a shared value across this planet. We need to recognize that we are part of a movement that is global in nature. There are climate marches like this happening in cities all across this world. So it's exciting to be part of one, right? So as I said, I'm a sociologist. That means I'm a social scientist. And to be honest, I'm way more comfortable talking about data and facts and not so good at pumping up the emotions. Thank you for Taz to start things off. I'm good about talking about reason and rational things and stuff like that, but I want to tell you, and we all know this, there is nothing reasonable about what we are doing to the planet, is there? No. More facts aren't necessary. We have enough climate science. Despite what some ridiculous deniers and skeptics think, we have enough climate science, we have enough facts to say what we need to do. We need to focus on our shared values. And again, those are values that transcend our particular being human here in Alberta to all humanity. And not only all humanity, but to all of the beings on the earth. So how many of you were here last year in September at the People's Climate March? Raise your hand if you were, shout out if you were. Yeah. That didn't sound very loud. Were there very many of you here? But this movement is growing. There are more people here now that weren't here last year. There are more people around the world who are marching. There are more governments who are saying we really, really, really need to do something. The Canadian government says we need to do something. Isn't that amazing? In other words, our government will not get Fossil of the Year again. I'll have to admit, I wasn't here last year either. I was in New York. That was amazing. 300,000 people marched through the streets of New York, and the UN heard. The climate negotiators for the United States heard. Okay, I don't think the climate negotiators for that old government of Canada heard. But the new government is listening to us. We just need to keep shouting and saying, we the people cherish the earth. We the people cherish the earth. So I also have to admit, I wasn't at that march of 300,000 people either. Yeah. Because I was there at another climate-related gathering. I was organized by the World Council of Churches and Religions for Peace, and 30 high-level religious leaders from Hindu, Muslim, Catholic, Orthodox, and other Christian denominations, Buddhist and indigenous leaders from around the world gathered to put out an interfaith declaration on climate change. This is a worldwide movement, and as people who are interested in making our voices heard as a global population, we need to look for partners everywhere, in every sort of institution, in every sort of people, in every sort of place that we can find partners. You know, the Catholic Church has a pope, and that pope put out a very interesting encyclical in June, where he said, the earth is our common home. He said, the earth is our mother and our sister. We can talk about Mother Earth. All of us share that value across this planet. Right before the Pope's encyclical came out, a bunch of Jewish rabbis put out their own statement saying, hey, we're motivated because the Catholic Church is saying something, we're going to say something too. And you know, religions have been doing this stuff for a long time. But in August, Muslim leaders in Turkey said, the Pope put out a declaration, we want to state what we as Muslims think about climate change. And in October, Buddhist leaders around the world gathered to put out their own declaration about climate change. This is a worldwide movement with all sorts of people participating. You, we, I, we're all part of something very important. Isn't that a good thing? But here's a really important thing. We, the people globally, are not the same. And there's a bit of something wrong when we think of ourselves as all the same. It's important to listen to brothers and sisters around the world. In New York, I heard a church leader from the Pacific Islands. He cannot go back to the family home where he grew up because sea level rise has caused saltwater intrusion into the groundwater there. There is no drinking water where he grew up any longer. I don't have to face that. Or I heard an African indigenous leader from the Sub-Sahara say that the sacred groves near his home are no more. Some were cut for firewood by poor people with few other means to survive. Some have died because climate change has caused desertification and trees cannot grow where there is no water. I don't have to face that either. But here's what I do have to face. When they tell me these stories and look at me and I look back, I am among the global elite. And so are you. We Canadians, we North Americans, we well-educated and well-fed, and people who live in countries with security and social safety nets and cars and houses and central heating and all of that, we are the global elites. And we're causing climate change.
Shame.
But you know, all Canadians aren't the same either, as Taz clearly pointed out earlier, and Doug pointed out as well. All Canadians aren't the same, so we need to listen to each other. We are brothers and sisters, and we need to hear. And we need to act and work for justice. So, if you're in Canada, you're in the top 5% of the world. Not quite the 1%, but close. And I don't mean to suggest that each of us can solve climate change by changing our lifestyles. That's a grave sociological error. We cannot work individually, we have to work together. We also have to work beyond just the political. So we're calling out to Paris for our political leaders to do something globally. But this needs to happen in all our institutions. So wherever you find yourself located, the uncomfortable message is Canada needs to do things differently. Our healthcare system, our religions, our businesses, our schools need to do things differently. How many of you work in schools? Give yourself a hand, it's an important job. And everybody else should give them a hand as well. How much education about climate change is happening in our schools here in Canada? Not enough.
Right.
How about healthcare system? Climate change is a health issue. Disease vectors will be changing. Malaria is moving north as the climate warms. Those who face the worst risks of heat in our country are also the poorest and most marginalized. Heat risk is a health risk caused by climate change and exacerbated by climate change. And in fact, worldwide, climate change is a threat multiplier. Those who have less, those who are more marginalized, those who have fewer resources, those are the ones who will be impacted the most by climate change. That's why climate change is a justice issue. So more than anything else, I want us to realize we need to work for justice, because only with justice will peace and security and the abundant life that I believe the earth can help provide if we participate with the earth. Only with justice for all the people in the world can we address climate change, can we live well, and can we truly be brothers and sisters with everybody else on the planet. Amen.